feeling. It's hard to say.
Tighten it up.
All right, game one, Eastern Conference semis. A couple of teams that were pushed to 7. Toronto took Cleveland to 7. Orlando took Detroit to 7, both on Sunday. Kind of gas tank situation are we looking at here? Cade Cunningham, I'm just fine. Scott hits the 3. Pistons led by 16 after the first quarter. Donovan Mitchell with the handles in the float game.
On point.
And it's a 14-point deficit. Now, that's a matchup that's going to work in the favor of Mitchell with Isaiah Stewart, the big fella, trying to check him. It's now 11. This is an issue for Harden tonight. The turnovers costly. Ron Holland, the second in transition. Little Euro step and the finish. Detroit led by double digits at the break. Cavaliers trying to claw back into this one. Again, a turnover. That's an easy flip ahead. Cunningham to dunk, and he flips ahead to Asar Thompson. On the other end, 11-point game, make it 8. Mitchell with the 3. And then speaking of threes, the Struce is loose. Corner tray, and just like that, it's a 3-point game. Early fourth. Speaking of shooters, off the Jalen Duren rebound. Duncan Robinson, not sure about that mustache, my man, but you do your thing. The lead's 9. Dunk. Euro stepping. And hitting 3 the hard way. Ian Harden.
He knew what he was doing.
Sure he does. 19 for Robinson. Harden on the other end. All right, you can take those 2 with you. Part of a 9-0 Harden run. We're tied at 93. The big block there from Duren. Still going up. The Cleveland bench, actually, they didn't react too much. On the other end, after the Pistons got a bucket, they're about to get another. Cunningham, the lead for Duren. Pushes the lead to 4. Next Pistons possession, Cunningham. Duren rocks the rim again. He had 11 points, 12 boards. The lead is 6. This is a sequence of one possession after another. Bucket, 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 bucket. Cade with 23 at a 7-point lead. Here, Danish Jenkins will get the rip. That'll do it. 23 from Harden, 22 from Mitchell. Not enough. Pistons take the first by 10. Here's Cade after the game 1 dub.
Yeah, we've been through a lot. Seen a lot of scenarios in the game and stuff. So just reading how they were guarding us and trying to get the best shot possible. That's all that was. So we did a good job.
Before the game, I asked you what are some of the benefits that you could take away from that 7-game series. The way this team started and the way they was able to execute at the end after the game was tied, how much of what we saw was a testament to that?
All of it. Understanding what the moment needs and what's called for. And then having the poise and confidence to go out and execute it. And, playing in 3 basically elimination games, you understand that. You understand, how important starts are, the urgency. You understand, how to close and how to finish and how to get to your spots. And then you grow belief that you can. And I think that series did a lot of that for us.
No surprise that Cade Cunningham once again powered the Pistons 23-7. He's played 14 postseason games in his career. He scored 20 or more in all of them, the 4th longest streak in NBA history, trailing Kareem, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. As for the other side of the ledger, here's what the Cavaliers had to say after fighting back to tie it, but coming up just a bit short in game 1.
You look within first, and you look at my turnovers, and a lot of them were just on me and nothing they did. So, and, which led to I don't even know how many transition points they had, but it was way too many. And, if I had to put my print on one thing on the game, that's the game right there. How many points they had in transition? Off our turnovers?
20,
there you
31.
Go. That's the game. It's nothing else.
Shanae Ogwumike is with us to discuss this Detroit-Cleveland semi-game 1. And Shanae, it is a 93-all game with 5 minutes to go. It comes down to winning time, and the Pistons score on 6 consecutive trips. That type of efficiency in high-stakes moments is a differentiator. What did you notice? What did they get? How did they get it?
What they got was finally Cade Cunningham some help. Because I was saying going into the series, we need to give our guy, the star of the Eastern Conference, some icy hot, especially for his back, because he's been carrying his team, especially with winning time. Instead, if you see those possessions, I was so impressed with Jalen Duren. If you look at the box score, it's only 11 points, but he had 12 rebounds, he had 4 assists. But most importantly, during that stretch of like 4 minutes left, he got a block on one end, and then Cade dished it to him, and he dunked. And then they got another stop, and then he got another dump off, and he dunked again. He played with force. He played with authority. His numbers this postseason may not jump off the screen, but when it came to when it mattered most, his defense showed up. But he was not alone. You think about Duncan Robinson, who knocked down 5 threes, had 19 points. And also Tobias Harris, who they affectionately called Unk. Now, what's funny to me is Tobias Harris, he's actually had 6 straight games, I believe, of 20-plus points, which is impressive. But they call him Unk because he's the OG. He's the vet. He's the calming and consistent presence. If he's Unk, then I guess I'm Auntie, because we were both a part of the McDonald's All-American, the same class for the same year. And so I've embraced my age, and finally they got a variety of contributions, and it showed up when it mattered most for the Detroit Pistons.
Funny thing how that works, Shanae. You wake up one day and you're on the Unc and Auntie side of the aisle. It's not a lot of fun when you wait till you're the grandpa, man.
You're not there yet, Scott. You're not there yet,
I don't
Scott.
know. That's another story for another day. All right, I want to ask one last question on this game, because I was really interested to see that Cleveland front line. Mobley and Allen, I'm big fans of theirs, and I thought they might have a head-to-head advantage, and maybe they will over time. They didn't tonight. What did you notice in the front court matchup between Detroit and Cleveland in Game 1?
What's fascinating to me is that what we saw in the first round series when it comes to the Cleveland Cavaliers and their losses going in extended series, it's because whenever James Harden or even Donovan Mitchell, that backcourt turns over the ball, it just creates a horrible circumstance for Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. As much as we want to say that Evan Mobley is a creator, the best optics for him is being a recipient of those short roll passes, a recipient of just pick and rolls and pick and pop situations. And Jarrett Allen is a perfect example of that. When James Harden is turning the ball over, he had 7 turnovers in this game, he's not going to get a look. And that's why we saw in the first round series, those two combined for, I think, 11 points on nights where they had high levels of turnovers. Again, 19 turnovers for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That means that their big players are just not in rhythm. And so James has to take care of the ball. The Cleveland Cavaliers have to do better taking care of the ball. And hopefully that allows them to unlock the most important players to their success.
Just one bucket for Allen tonight. Detroit, great when it mattered most. They grab Game 1. Shanae, enjoy the conversation. We'll discuss the Lakers and the Thunder when that one's done in just a bit, all right?
Sounds good.
That surrounded tonight's Los Angeles Lakers game is the following. LeBron James, after tonight, will have played in 1,921 games in his NBA career. The Lakers closed as 15.5-point underdogs, which is the largest underdog role in his entire career, regular season or playoffs. LeBron's been many things throughout a legendary NBA career. He has never been looking at this steep an uphill climb against the wagon that is or are the Thunder. I got to figure that out. Are. Well, they are. And the very first play of the game, LeBron James downhill, bucket good, and the foul. They start on a 7-0 run. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander here, off shot. Woo, woo, woo! James in transition. 75th time he's had 10 points or more in the first quarter of a playoff game. Closest behind him, Kevin Durant at 47. Lakers lead by 3. There are 4 quarters to a game. And here, the high degree of difficulty shot from Shai, just absurd artistry. J.J. Redick, not thrilled. OKC now leads by 5. The lead has grown to 7. There's the big block from Chet on DeAndre Ayton. Running the other way, Hartenstein up top, thin man. Chet climbs the ladder. That's a perfect pass. Started it with the block and rewarded. Then it's Holmgren. Misses the point-blank shot, but gets a rebound and the putback. The lead now double digits. The lead's 11. Shai, the dish down low. It's Chet, 18 in the first half. Second most in the first half of a playoff game in his young career. Thunder lead by 8 at the half. Marcus Smart here off the Ayton pick and roll. It's knocked away. AC fresh, Alex Caruso. Fired up after that flush. The lead's now 15. Jared McCain catches in rhythm. All three of these, and the lead's now 16. Getting away from the Lakers in a hurry. Next possession, another turnover. And it's McCain. Back to him. Again in rhythm. Again, it's good. And it's an 18-point victory on a night where Shea had just 18, 6 assists, had some turnovers as well. So you know he's going to wreck you at some point. It wasn't him tonight. But now the ledger for the season for the Lakers against the Thunder, they've played 5. OKC's won them all, and there really haven't been a particularly close game. A 9-point game in February. The context of those regular season games is always a little bit dodgy. You never know about rest and who's playing and who's not. But we do know that OKC wins this one. Chiney Ogwumike, as promised, joins us. And let me just start with the Shea night, because as I just said a moment ago, there's going to be a night where he's going to go bananas and score 40 or whatever, and there's just no hope. Here's a night where if you tell JJ, hey, he's only going to get 18, this might be a night where they could get got. No, because they have so many different options. My eyes drawn to the 24 from Chet. What'd he show you?
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about the options that the Oklahoma City Thunder have, they are a deep squad, and it's not just the bench, it's the starters. And if you think about it, when starting this postseason, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was a superhero. He was just consistent, snapped that 20-plus points per game that we saw just with 18. But the cool thing about this Thunder squad is that they can transfer their powers. He transferred his powers to Chet Holmgren, who was sensational. In the first round versus the Phoenix Suns, he averaged around 17 points per game, Chet Holmgren, on 60% or so shooting. He had 18 points in the first half versus Los Angeles and finished obviously with 24. But most importantly, he also had 12 rebounds, and it's on both ends, not only for Shai, but also for Chet. Because as a contesting defender, he limited the Los Angeles Lakers to 1 of 9 shooting, just this many points, 2 points as a defender. And so when Chet, is exploding, Shai can sort of take a breather. But where you started, I do fear for the Los Angeles Lakers, because now Shai's like, okay, now let me tap in for game 2. I do think he's going to be due to explode once again.
We followed the Avalanche from the Stanley Cup playoffs. They've not lost a game. They're a wagon, and this Thunder team is as well. They've not lost a game. Los Angeles, all credit to them for being down Luka and Reeves for a portion of that series against Houston. I know the Rockets had some injuries as well. So they won a series. Great. I don't know what path exists for this Laker team to compete against the Thunder in this series. And I always say don't overreact. I don't know that I'm overreacting. I think I'm just looking at the teams and the body of work. What do you think?
You're not overreacting, Scott. I just think about my Hall of Famer coach at Stanford, Tara Vanderveer. When you're going up against a juggernaut like the Oklahoma City Thunder or any top team, she said sometimes the best thing you can do is have that prayer defense and just pray that they miss. They missed a couple of bunnies. They missed a couple of shots. That should have been a gift for the Los Angeles Lakers. To me, the only thing that can really save them in this series are the 33 points, the NBA leading 33 points on the bench in Luka Doncic. Austin Reeves, important to note, he only had 8 points. He was 3 for 16 from the field. So at least if you're JJ, you can say Austin's not going to shoot that bad again. And maybe we'll be able to get more production from the supporting cast. Like Luke Kennard, going to shoot better. Your shooters are going to do better. But still, you might just have to go back to Old Faithful, literally, and just pray that the Thunder misses. I'm seeing more of a gentleman's situation, not a traditional sweep, but possibly a gentleman's sweep.
Understood. And I'm looking at Kennard. He had 7. Reeves had 8. Your point's well taken. These are players who are likely to be better. But again, Shai's unlikely to have only 18 in a game moving forward as well. And I'm sure Thunder fans will be quick to point out again the regular season numbers. And the last time that we saw Luka was in a game where the Thunder were ahead by about 1 million. And the question still goes back to why was Luka even out there in a game where it looked like he had tweaked his hamstring earlier in that game? But you don't overreact. LeBron was awesome. Again, he's 41 years old. He had 27 points. He can't do anything more than this. It's going to be on the supporting cast, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely will be on the supporting cast. I honestly was surprised by LeBron's performance because what lives rent free, I'm a Houston native. What lives rent free in my brain, I think it was after game 3 versus the Houston Rockets, they asked the sideline reporter, "How are you doing, LeBron?" And LeBron said, "I'm tired as bleep." And we saw the miles sort of stack up, but he's a true professional. This man invests $1 million in his body every year. The professionalism for him to show up and also capitalize on what the Thunder gave. I was thoroughly impressed with LeBron James. Everyone else has to raise their game. The DeAndre Aytons, the Rui Hachimuras, again, the Austin Reeves, those guys have to be top tier for them to have any sort of a chance.
Shanae, sit tight for just a quick second here. J.J. Redick, before this series even began, made it clear he understood this monumental challenge that was in front of his team. Now, after losing by 18, here is J.J.'s thoughts after Game 1 in Oklahoma City.
I don't think there was a turning point. I think it was a general theme throughout the night. When we made game plan mistakes, they hurt us. I thought the Houston Game 5 was the most game plan mistakes we made in a playoff game so far. We obviously lost that game. You're playing the world champs. Your margin for error in terms of mistakes is not that high. You can make mistakes. Basketball's a game full of mistakes. There's just too many tonight. We got to clean that up. But there were some good things. We won expected score. Held Shea under 20. He ended up with 7 turnovers. The guys played hard. We just got to do a better job with execution. It comes down to just the attention to detail on that, and I know we'll clean things up and be better.
They'll need to be, and I'm just perusing the box score here. Let's give A.J. Mitchell some love. He's been excellent all year. He goes for 18, matching Shea in this one. Just a big picture thought as a final thought, Shanae, about this Thunder team. The totality of the regular season, wearing a target, right? All the chatter that surrounds them, and they haven't lost a single game yet. What's most impressive to you about this group, top to bottom?
Their consistency, and they may not be the sexiest team in the NBA. And I say sexy, meaning you're not going to see so many dunks. You're not going to see so many step back threes, the things that tantalize fans. But they fall in love and they have mastered the dirty things, the hustle plays, the steals, the team basketball on both ends of the floor. But also they are led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the likely front runner, back-to-back front runner for MVP. And they go as he goes. He does not panic. Even though he had a game where he had multiple turnovers, he doesn't panic. His teammates just feel so calm, collected around him. And lastly, going off of what J.J. Redick said, what he's talking about is the turnovers. The Lakers had 17 turnovers. Whenever you turn the ball over to the Oklahoma City Thunder, that's like manna from heaven. That's the best thing that you can give them, because in the regular season and in the postseason, they have led the NBA in points off of turnovers, over 20 a game in those two categories, regular and post. And so it's cool. Like, they don't have to play perfect. They just have to play hard. And that's a recipe for them to potentially win another championship. It's a cheat code.
Yeah, the only stat that I see that the Lakers led in tonight on this box score is turnovers. Other than that, it was all Thunder, and they are a ruthless and efficient team. They've won all regular season. They're the one for a reason. They win again tonight. Shanae, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it as always.
Anytime.
All right, we will win Game 1 over Los Angeles by 18 points. That's how many points Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had, which is a season low, regular season or playoffs. It speaks to the balance, the depth, the options that this Thunder team has as they cruise to a Game 1 win. Here's Shai after the Game 1 victory.
Honestly, we were just like more ourselves in the second half. Took us a little bit to get into it tonight, to get back to what we were. Obviously, a little bit of a break, a little bit of rest is expected, but we eventually got to it and were able to do enough to win.
Shai, Mark was just sitting here talking about the curveballs they threw. It's not like you haven't seen some of the coverages they were throwing at you, but it is the first time you've seen maybe something like that this postseason. What'd you make of your own processing throughout the game?
Yeah, I was like loose with the ball, had a lot of turnovers, but like I think that goes into like the rust of not playing for a little bit. They were obviously very aggressive, but I feel like for most of the night we got great looks. Sometimes it didn't go down, but we we got great looks, it felt like. We generated good offense for guys that can make plays. And just continuing that process, because that's ultimately what's going to come down to, like, just betting on us getting the best look for our team and living with the results. Like, it's not always going to go our way, but we give ourselves the best chance if we do so.
A home win for the 1 seed in the West and a home win for the 1 seed in the East. Jalen Duren, dominant sequence in the fourth quarter. Tied at 93. It really starts with this block. And you see Cleveland's bench didn't react like goaltending. Clean block. On the other end, Cade Cunningham on the drive and the leave. All-star to all-star, Duren on both ends. Next Pistons possession, again, same script. Cunningham, Duren, another slam, and the lead is 4. Again, it's a Detroit stop that allows another bucket, and the lead grows, and it's the same Cunningham to Duren recipe. Control, not quite. You can't say that with only a 6-point lead, but the way they continued to play, it was. Duren. Danish Jenkins, no. During the rebound, now you can exhaust a bit of clock, and there's the floater for Tobias Harris, 2 of his 20. Winning plays across the board. Harden, who talked about his turnover problems afterwards here, it's a ball, it's ping-ponging around, ultimately ends up in the hands of Duren, impacting the game across the board with 11 points, 12 rebounds, back-to-back double-doubles. For the first time in a playoff career, they won Game 7 against Orlando and now Game 1 against Cleveland as the Pistons outscored the Cavs by 17 when Duren was on the floor in Game 1, the best plus-minus for any Detroit player in the game. Cleveland had a 7-point edge when Duren was on the bench. On the defensive end, Duren held the Cavs to 2 of 10 shooting. Offensively, 6 of his 11 came, as you saw, in that pivotal final 5 minutes.
One big thing.
Last night on the show, I asked Danny Green what kind of adjustments Nick Nurse might make as Philadelphia prepared for Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semis after being blown out by 39 by the Knicks in Game 1. Danny played for Nurse in Toronto and also in Philly, so he'd have some insight into what his coach might do on an off day, because this is how we tend to view athletes and coaches, through a two-dimensional lens, limited to games and adjustments. But we're all people, and we're all from somewhere. Nick Nurse is from Iowa, and that's where he was on Tuesday for the funeral of his brother Steve, who died unexpectedly last week at 62. I didn't know that had happened. I just saw a blurb about it today on .com. For some reason, I was drawn to this story. I found myself staring at the face of a man I didn't know from Iowa. I learned that Steve met his wife Lori working one summer as a lifeguard, about the time I was doing the same thing one summer during college. Read that he and Lori had a couple children, first a daughter, then a son. Steve worked for more than a quarter century for his alma mater of Northern Iowa as an athletic equipment manager. Known for his wit and ability to make everyone smile, he also had quite a talent for restringing baseball and softball gloves. Turns out that same skill worked pretty well to make rosaries. He was active in his church, Our Lady's Immaculate Heart in Ankeny, Iowa. His faith and family were his bedrocks, and he loved cheering on his brother's Philadelphia 76ers. His brother Nick wasn't making adjustments on Tuesday. He was with his family, saying so long to a husband, a brother, a father, and a friend in Iowa, because that's where he's from, because we're all from somewhere. And that's where I found my thoughts this Tuesday afternoon, far away from the things that tend to occupy my mind preparing for this show. Instead, they were with a man I've never met who was burying his brother. It wasn't a blurb on a screen to the Nurse family. It was real loss. Steve's brother will be in New York City, coaching Philadelphia in Game 2 in the Garden on Wednesday night.